All right, everyone, it is now 7 p.m., so let's get started. Welcome to the 24th episode in our ongoing webinar series for federal employees. My name is Quinn Ackerman. I'm one of the co-founders here at Parco, as well as our director of marketing. So it's great seeing some of these new faces on today, as well as the familiar ones. And for those of you who've been on before, this part's always familiar. We are Parco. It stands for Pension Americans Retirement Company, and we are a financial services firm exclusively focused on retirement planning for feds. Whether you're just starting out in your career and you're trying to figure out how to make the most of things, you're near retirement, trying to navigate that process, you're well in retirement and are dealing with things that retirees have to deal with, or you fall anywhere in between, you are the niche that we focus on, and you are the people that we help every single day. And our goal is to be a one-stop shop that makes your lives easier. So as we're helping you strategize and make the most out of your federal benefits, if we find services or partnerships that we have that will improve your life situation, we'll make those recommendations. Common ones are helping you with mortgage refinancing, connecting you with a tax preparer to help you with your taxes, better insurance, wealth advisory, trust and wills to start that estate planning process. I know I'm forgetting a bunch right now, but basically that's the idea. We want to connect you with all of these services we have to offer if it improves your life situation and it makes it easier to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do here at Parco. We've recently been featured in some of the below publications. We're working really hard on getting our names out there. So you may have seen us featured recently in some of these places. You can also find us on our website, goparco.com, our Facebook page, GoParco, and we also have a LinkedIn and a monthly newsletter as well. So a few ground rules before we get started. The goal of these presentations is to go very in depth on one specific topic. Each week it's different, or every other week it's going to be different. And the goal is to, while go in depth, keep it digestible. We really shoot for these to be around 30 minutes so that people don't start going cross-eyed and things go in one ear and out the other. Most likely what this means is that you will have questions that aren't answered. Please reach out to us. This is what we do every single day, particularly as it pertains to your unique situation. Reach out to us and let us know. If you've got a burning question that you need answered right away, you can do so in the question window. My colleague, Danny Hample. Danny, thanks for being on tonight. We'll be in the question and answer section answering the questions that you guys have. And then be on the lookout for our survey email afterwards. We're always looking to improve, so be brutally honest. And even more than that, tell us some topics you want to see covered, things that you feel are being written about out there that aren't pertaining to feds, and what a federal take on it would be. We've done a lot of presentations this year based off of the feedback from you guys, so keep it up. We love seeing the ideas that you have and the things you want to learn more about. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of tonight's presentation. Many of you may have seen or may have not seen that the Department of Education made a really crazy cool announcement at the beginning of October this year. It's basically a limited waiver for feds that is extending the opportunities you guys have to get student loan relief. So we're going to break into tonight what that looks like, kind of what the process looked like before and what's changed, and how you can make the most of that process. So to start off, we're going to talk about what is PSLF, what is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and who's going to qualify for it. We'll then get into the types of loans that are covered to see if you can partake in this program. We'll talk about the new forgiveness eligibility, what that new eligibility process looks like, and then actually applying itself. What do you need to do to be able to get some of this student loan relief? So to start, what is public service loan forgiveness and who qualifies? Well, public service loan forgiveness hasn't actually been around forever. It's as recent as 2007. It arose from the College Cost Reduction and Access Act. This is something that came out of that. And it's essentially a federal program that's designed to ease the student loan burden for civil servants. The way they're looking at it is, they want to give back to the community that is performing a civic duty and serving on the civilian side of the federal government. So there's a bunch of different types of groups that'll qualify. The one that we're looking at tonight are those federal government employees. So as long as you are a full-time federal civilian employee or you are a full-time service member, you can partake in the public service loan forgiveness program. Then there's a bunch of things for a bunch of folks in the state and local governments who qualify, some tribal government employees as well as some nonprofits. But the group that we're really looking at tonight here are your full-time federal civilians and service members. So let's get into a little bit the types of loans that are going to qualify for this forgiveness program. Loans that have always qualified. So this hasn't changed. And if you have a loan that is this type, the payments you are making are automatically qualifying for student loan forgiveness. This is going to be your direct subsidized loans, your direct unsubsidized loans, any direct plus loans. So maybe Parents Plus that have been consolidated into direct plus loans, and other forms of direct consolidation loans. If you see the word direct on your current outstanding student loan, you are going to qualify. These are all part of the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program. Now, here are some loans that temporarily qualify. And when we mean temporarily qualify, you guys have this window. They've essentially eased these restrictions, and this easement's going to end in October 31st of 2022. So during this time, here are some other types of loans that are going to qualify. If you have federal family education loan programs, past payments for that are going to count. Same thing for federal Perkins loan programs, Graduate Plus loans made to students. Those are all now going to qualify temporarily under this limited waiver. Unfortunately, you'll see here Parent Plus loans do not count. We're going to get into a little bit later the consolidation process and how that's going to be crucial to getting this forgiveness. Even if you consolidate these Parent Plus loans, there's nothing retroactive, unfortunately, that is going to be added to your forgiveness program. Now, let's talk a little bit about this new forgiveness eligibility. Like I just said, the restrictions have been temporarily eased. So let's take a look at what kind of things now qualify that didn't before. So here's what hasn't changed. In order to get student loan forgiveness, in order for your loans to be forgiven and you no longer owe, you have to make 120 qualifying payments, essentially 10 years worth of payments. And what we're going to get into in a second is really this section. This section here is what has changed the most, what has eased up the most. This is where you're going to see more flexibility in the types of payments that will now count towards forgiveness. This part stays the same. Because the PSLF program started in October of 2007, only payments made on or after October 2007 will be considered for the forgiveness program. And then this third part stays the same as well. You must be actively working for a qualified employer during the time that you made these payments for them to qualify, not just only being a part of the qualified employment, but you have to be full-time as well. So when the payments will start to qualify and who you worked for during this time have stayed the same. The part that's changed is what type of payments will count towards this 120 qualifying payment limit. Previously, the types of payments that qualified under the loans that qualified had to be part of the income-driven repayment plan. As I'm sure many of you guys know, there are lots of different repayment types that you could be a part of. Previously, only the income-driven repayment plan worked, and this really tied up a lot of folks who didn't know this, who enrolled in another type of repayment program, thinking they're making qualifying payments, but they hadn't been. And this is one of the things that PSLF is trying to fix within this limited window. Now they're saying, as long as your repayment plan really, and you've been making a repayment of some sort, has taken place, it doesn't matter what type of repayment plan you are under. We will now retroactively count standard repayment plans, graduated repayment plans, extended repayment plans, alternative repayment plans. This is huge. This used to be so much more limited, and it's also why it's super important to act on this ability while we're in this year-long window, because this is going to go back away. So if we want to make sure you get credit for past payments under these types of repayment plans, we're going to have to act on it. And that's really the best part of this whole thing. It's not like this waiver is in this next year so that payments you make in the next year will now count. It's saying as long as you follow our rules and apply for certain things in a certain timeline, we will give you retroactive credit for past payments under these types of repayment plans, as long as you're in one of the types of loans we talked about all the way back until 2007. This is absolutely astronomical, and we are really, really excited about it. Not only that, it's not just these new types of repayment plans that you're going to get retroactive credit for, but late payments now count. That's never been a thing. Partial payments now count. That's never been a thing. And even the period of time when you were in loan forbearance and you were contributing maybe $0.00, that time now counts. So as long as we're applying for it within this window, we are really opening ourselves up to maybe automatic loan forgiveness, or at the very least, a lot more credits to get you closer to the forgiveness point. And the Department of Education has actually been speaking about the impact this is going to have. From their studies, they are estimating that 22,000 additional folks who participate in this program are now automatically eligible for forgiveness who weren't before. And then another 550,000 people will see progress towards forgiveness as long as they take part in this limited waiver. And they're saying, on average, folks should see 23 extra payments count towards forgiveness. So this is really, really exciting. Now let's talk about what the actual process looks like. I'm sure you guys are all thinking, Quinn, this sounds great. What do I need to do to be able to take part in this? The very first step is that you're going to want to consolidate any non-direct loans into direct loans. So when we're talking about the Perkins loans, the federal family loans, the Graduate Plus loans, if those still exist in that state, your first step is to consolidate them into direct loans. So it's a little bit tedious. You're going to want to log into the account for the loans that you'd like to consolidate. Make sure you get the official number of that loan. And then you're going to have to include those numbers into the specific request form and submit it to the Department of Education. Once they have your loans numbers, they have the forms, they will send you an access code to check the application status. So it's better to get this done sooner rather than later. It's going to take a little bit of time, and this certainly isn't the first step. And then you'll know when oops, sorry about that. You'll know when you've been approved, because you'll be issued a new loan number after its approval. So this is the first step. Now, for those of you folks who already have direct loans, you do not need to do this part. This part is good to go. The next step, and this is going to apply to everyone, is that you are going to need to fill out the official PSLF form and get that submitted before the deadline as well. What they're going to do is they're going to look over everything. They're now going to apply these new, or I guess lack thereof, limitations, and now see all these types of payments that are going to qualify that never have before. And the way they're going to do that, and the way you're going to signal to them that they should do that, is by submitting this form. So what you're going to do, and if you need this link, reach out to us, let us know. It's on studentaid.gov. You're going to log into the PSLF help tool. This is basically going to start to fill out the application for you. The things you're going to need, mostly the trickiest one, is your employer's federal EIN. So their employer identification number. Make sure it's the federal one. You can get that on your W-2 and Box B. That's typically the thing that holds some folks up, finding that exact number. But once you've signified your employer, signified who you are, it's essentially going to pull in all the information about your current loans. Now, what's kind of frustrating, and it'll say this on the studentaid.gov website, is that the PSLF form has not been updated to tell you about the lack of new limitations. So when you go through filling this form, it's going to tell you what you already knew. It's going to say, you don't have payments that qualify. Here are the payments that qualify. Here are the ones that don't. Don't be alarmed. There's a notice on there letting you know that's going to happen. The only way you're going to see that change is by submitting the form anyway. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the rest of it. If it's basically going to lead you after these through like a few sections, I think it's about 4 sections. It'll basically ask you to save and print the form. You're going to save it, print it. Make sure you sign it with a wet signature. They will not accept any sort of digital signatures. Sign it wet, and then your employer is going to have to sign a wet signature as well. Once you've gotten those 2 wet signatures, then you can submit it to the Department of Education. You can either mail it, fax it, or you can submit it online on the Federal Service Provider site if that is your current provider. If it's not, you're going to want to mail or fax it to the Department of Education. I'm actually going to get out of this presentation really quick. I wanted to show you guys what this form looks like. So hopefully you can see my screen still. Here's the form. Most of it should be filled out if you've gone through the PSLF help tool, but obviously there's going to be your personal identifying information here. They're going to ask you what your intent is. You can either select, I believe I qualify for forgiveness right now, or I want to see how many qualifying payments they have. This in no way, they say this a bunch on the website, your answer here does not impact their ability to give you forgiveness or not. They're just looking to see what your source was. So you'll sign here. Your employer is going to fill out, and actually most of this will probably already be filled out, but they're going to have to sign as well. So they'll sign here, wet signature again, and then the address that you send it to is on page 4 of 6. So you can mail it here, fax it here, upload it here. So it's really not that crazy, but it has to be done. It's definitely a blocker to you seeing that forgiveness. Now let me go back to this presentation here. All right. So how are you going to know if it worked? After you've submitted it, the Department of Education is going to notify you if you've been automatically forgiven or if you qualify for extra payments, either way. So make sure when you submit this, the email you have on file is accurate, as well as your phone. They've been doing a lot of emails lately, so you definitely don't want that to get lost in translation. What's also cool is that Student Aid's been working on their website a bunch. So let's say you qualify for extra payments, but maybe you don't, you haven't met the 120 yet. There's now going to be a bar in that federal servicer where you go out to fill out this form. It's going to show you how much you've done and how much more you have to go. So you'll actually be able to track your progress in live time, which is a really big change from the way things were. So a lot of good changes that are taking place right now. Now, for those of you folks who don't receive automatic forgiveness, let's just say you've gotten a lot more qualifying payments and you have X number to go. Do make sure you continue to fill out this form every single year. The reason they're going to want you to fill out this form every single year is because they want to make sure you're still working for a qualified employer. If you're not working for a qualified employer, they're not going to count those payments, and they want to see you recertify that form to basically show them that you are doing what you're saying you're doing. One thing I wanted to point out, a lot of folks have been asking us about this, are the Parent Plus loans. You know, they're saying, well, you know, if they're telling me I need to consolidate it into a direct loan, why don't I just do that? And then all my past Parent Plus loan payments can count. We wish it worked that way. On the Department of Education site, on the studentaid.gov site, it is saying, even if you consolidate your Parent Plus loans into a direct loan, you are not able to retroactively apply any sort of past payments. What you can do though, and the sooner you do this, the better, is you can still consolidate it into that direct loan and then make sure you're part of the income-driven repayment plan permanently, just because they'll take away some of those easements from other repayment plan types. So set it up like that, and then every payment thereafter will count towards some of the 120 qualifying payments. Certainly not as good as these other options for these other types of loans. And it's also not to say that it won't change in the future, But in dealing with the information we have right now and the rules being provided by the Department of Education right now, this is the only way you'll be able to start making qualifying payments on your Parents Plus loans. This was a lot. We covered a lot this evening. It's kind of dense. A lot of stuff sounds really similar, but it isn't quite the same. So just know that our strategists and fiduciaries are here to help you. Just this morning, I was helping a woman fill out her form and get it submitted. She actually has 10 years worth, so she'll be done. Really exciting stuff. So when you need help doing this, reach out to us. We've got experts at hand who can help you navigate this process and making sure you're getting as many qualifying payments as possible. Here's where we're excited. If any of you guys need to see where we got our information, and then also let us know if you need that link to log into the PSLF tool. I've got that as well. An exciting announcement that our webinar portal is now live. So let's say I went a little too fast, or you wanted to review one of these slides again. We'll be uploading, along with all of our other webinars that are already in there, into our webinar portal. So you guys can scan this QR code with your phone, or if you don't know how to do that, no worries. Just type in this URL into your search bar. It'll take you to our webinar portal. You sign up for free. You can use your Google. I can't remember the other one you can use, or you could just make your own little login, and then you can access all of our content completely free, 24/7, whenever you want. Some upcoming topics we've got coming down the pike: taxes, concepts that feds need to be aware of, and particularly changes that are going to take place from when you're employed to when you enter retirement. We're then going to talk about some TSP tips and tricks. There's been some interesting, not necessarily setbacks, but delays with some TSP processing right now, particularly with TSP loans. So we're going to help you figure out how to navigate the TSP landscape during a backup like this. Then we're going to talk about mortgage refinance, when to consider it, when it's going to make your situation better, and maybe when you should stick with what you've got. And then finally, on the last Sunday of every single month, we do a retirement paperwork workshop. It's led by our colleague, Danny Hample. He gets on 6 p.m. Eastern on Sundays, and we'll actually step-by-step show you how to complete either the FERS or CSRS retirement paperwork, whatever people request. And you can share your screen, and he'll help you do it step-by-step. So if you need to reach out, you can email us at info@goparco.com. You can call us as well at 833-GO-PARCO. Real person always answers the phone, or visit us on our website, goparco.com. Here's a little QR code if you'd like to scan to get into our webinar portal. Danny and I are going to stick around for a little while, answer any sort of questions you guys have. We hope you found this information useful and helpful towards achieving your student loan forgiveness goals. And we look forward to helping you through the process. Have a good Wednesday, everyone.